We're here on a very, very special episode of The Weekender on CNBC-TV18. Literally, I am in the house of Pataudis. I mean, the person with me needs no introduction. I gotta call him the coolest, the most suave, I don't know, most elegant person, and maybe a role model for all of us who grew up in the 2000s. Wow, that's all I can say. And that's
to quote me.
To quote
wow. What a takya kalam. But yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's really kind of you to say that.
I mean, you started a business in 2018 with House of Pataudis. I just wanted to know, over the last 4 years, it was mostly online. Now it's the first offline store which is coming up. How's the business done?
Well, I mean, in a couple of words, really well. And yeah, it's been great. We started small, carefully. It was a good idea.
Is there anything which is distinct about House of Pataudi in terms of the way it is designed, the way it looks?
Well, yeah, in the sense that, I mean, we spend a lot of time trying to draw on traditions in the past. I mean, India has got an amazing history of wearing Indian clothes. So to try and keep some of those things alive, but at the same time, they're smart minds because, I mean, people have tastes that change and are different, and I don't think only the old world would work today.
And how involved are you in the entire process?
I mean, we keep suggesting and we keep talking, and they're very kind to keep listening. And it is a collaboration. We've spent quite a lot of time together.
So would you have any example of something that they got inspired by from, say, your house here or in Pataudi or any of the other places, and then that ended up being a motif in any of the attire that they made?
Pataudi, for example, is kind of very straight-lined and almost a little bit austere and simple.
Right.
And at the same time, it has a kind of grandeur about it in terms of space. So, I mean, it sounds a bit weird to say, but some of the white kind of kurta pajamas and those kind of silhouettes, which let your personality, once you are in the kurta, then it kind of works better.
Don't be biased, but how avid a consumer of House of Pataudi are you?
So I'd say about 50% of my kurtas are House of Pataudi.
All right. And you know, the House of Pataudi brand, I mean, it's so all-encompassing that you could obviously extend it to various categories.
I mean, that's the idea. See, now that we've shifted and we've been, you know, I think I'm #1 kurta brand on Myntra's portal, which is pretty great. So the idea now, I mean, it could grow anywhere. We've already got furniture and shoes and a perfume. So
is food on the anvil at any point in time?
Know,
because I would love to, you know.
Why? I mean, why not?
Because biryani from the House of Pataudi, that sounds so royal, right?
Who knows? Why not? You know?
Okay, that's an idea.
I mean, anything.
And if you guys do go there, you know who to give the credit to. There are two kind of people. One who think that brands are easy money, you just go do your work and all of that and stuff, depend on the creative juices of the directors who are there, versus the other who want to be involved in every part of the creative process. Which one are you?
No, I think a mix of both. I mean, very often, to be honest with you, it's just turning up and doing your job and keeping quiet and just facilitating the process. On the other hand, in my production or in a certain kind of movie or in, I mean, there's a lot of give and take and discussion. For example, you say, okay, listen, like, I think these kurtas are getting a bit stuffy. Let's try something a little younger. Why can't we have a little more of an open neck or a little... There's a fine line between, you know, being helpful and being a pain.
Right. So let me segue that into a movie as well. I mean, at what point of a movie production do you realize that, hey, this may not have been a good idea, or this is a great idea, much better than what I thought it was?
You do sometimes, but you have to see it through. I mean, it is too late to do anything about it. I think you get a feeling that, okay, I think we might be in trouble here. And then you slowly get used to the idea that it's not going to work. And by the time it releases and it really doesn't work, you're probably one of the few people who aren't that surprised or disappointed.
In the past, you've said that, you know, you are pretty conservative with the way you manage your money. I mean, it's the boring simplicity that works for you. I mean, the last few years have brought about a lot of startup ideas, a lot of cryptocurrency and all of that and stuff. You haven't dabbled into any of them.
I mean, not yet. For me, it was always that there has been a certain kind of consistent cash flow coming in because of the work we do and the interest people have in you as a kind of product or whatever personality. So I would tell my financial advisors that this is the amount of money I can make for X amount of time. What do we put it in that gives me as safe possible monthly income without my having to work after tax? This is the kind of lifestyle I'm looking at. What do you think. And so we've aimed at that and fixed that in a very conservative way because of no surprises and no chances to be taken. I think averaging about 8% kind of return is what we're kind of looking at.
Oh, that's not particularly bad.
No, it's not. It's not. But it's not 20%, and it's not some sexy wealth manager stuff. Which
that's all right, because you already have a huge base that you're working on, and on that 8%, perhaps would be
not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Bad.
So I mean, you know, that's it. That's what it is.
Vikram Vedha recently did much better than what the other films have done, etc. It was a relative outperformer. What do you think is happening with the way content is being, consumed in the industry?
Honestly, frankly, Vikram Vedha was extremely it was disappointing at the box office in the sense that, yeah, I mean, it opened and it ran and everyone who saw it really liked it.
Yeah.
But I think this is philosophically looking back, the reason I think there's so much, the reason we should be very polite to each other is because nobody has any clue what works or what doesn't work or what's going to happen. Now, that was pretty much a dead cert, as we say, that this film with these two guys in it is going to open big, and since it's so well made, it's going to run. But it was disappointing.
What do you really think is happening? Because you're saying nobody really knows. Because
I have no idea, but something is happening. People will continue to make movies, and we will continue to try. Prices will keep fluctuating because our pricing, some of it's insane. And we pay people astronomically, and the returns have been not good. The thing about India is the numbers, and that's what's tantalizing us about House of Pataudi, and that's what's tantalizing us about movies, is if we can get on Netflix or any of these guys, why they get a little excited is if there's a small base of people that actually pay to watch movies. But if somehow you can expand that, like I think about 2% of our country pays to watch movies, which is, I mean, it's a very small percentage. So imagine if 20% watched movies, we'd be a very, very wealthy industry. So hopefully that will be the future, but for that, people have to make more money to be willing to spend it.
Good for people like you who have such a diversified portfolio of work in the past, which appeals
Good for me that I've had a past, so I don't have to stress about the future so much.
But are you stressing about the future?
I mean, always, in the sense that I did once upon a time. Because contrary to whatever opinion people might have, I mean, I've had to work for a living, and have had to work to educate my children, and all these things like other people. That's not the image I have, and it's fine. I don't think I'll ever get away from that image. But the fact is that yes, I've had to work to set up my own life, but I feel I've achieved that to a certain extent.
You briefly spoke about your kids, and I have to show this to you. I'm sure you've seen this already. What explains Jay's
Well,
mood?
I tell you, my wife is the lady who makes us pose for these pictures.
Was this pose? No,
she makes us pose, and then Temur grudgingly agrees. I also grudgingly agree, but he's having none of it. So we're laughing because I think we're all feeling like that. And then we said, might as well just take the picture the way it is, because that's how it is.
How aware are you of yourself on the social network? Because I don't see you actively being present on any of the forums.
No, I'm not. It's not something that's been important to me in the past, even though I'm quite a photographic person. Like, I've got tons of pictures, which even the missus pinches sometimes, because I like to record things. So I could share, but I think it would be, people say, no, don't share that, and then share this, and then I'd have to talk to some manager to manage my account before they say, this is too politically incorrect, or you can't show this, or you should, So then there's no point. It just becomes a bit dishonest. And then I'll have 100,000 people saying, can you post this, and can you do that? And I don't want to get trapped in that.
But that's also a revenue stream, right?
Yes, it is. That's the only thing. It is a good revenue stream. So the only thing that would tempt me to do it would be money. Would be money.
There's this mad boycott culture. I mean, what do you think is happening?
This section of people who I think are, I'm not sure if it's the genuine audience, using a soft target, like, for example, a bad movie, to say, okay, let's ban this or cancel that. And I also think it's really sad that Bollywood has not shown a kind of a unity. And until we have that ability to take that step, we'll never really know the truth of this, of how effective this boycott culture is. But it is, cancel culture generally is scary. It's a worldwide phenomenon.
Right.
But I think, and it's scary, but when your film's on release and there's so many other people on the line, it's just obviously simpler to keep a low profile and just get it out of the way. And these people who say boycott, boycott, I don't think are the audience, I personally, because people like entertaining themselves. People like watching movies. So they're not going to not watch a movie. We don't really have much to do in our country, really. Sometimes you can't go for a walk in the park or take a quiet boat ride with your kids. Some entertainment is limited in cities like ours. So movies is one of those things.
South Indian movies are doing fair numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, they're doing enormous numbers. And I mean, there's like classes going on right now about what's happening and where, this is. And maybe sometimes in Bombay we have a tendency to wander off the path towards European cinema or lose touch with. I remember a lot of the films I'd done a few years ago, the people had stopped wanting to shoot songs. There are a lot of directors still who are a little uncomfortable about. So it's part of our culture, and I think at least, you know, films like RRR and KGF1, I think nailed it. I mean, I loved those movies.
You loved them,
yeah,
right?
I loved KGF1 particularly. Right. And it had a universal thing to it. And there are certain movies that have those things. And it doesn't matter if it's garish and loud and crazy. It's the pop culture equivalent of it's very confident cinema.
That's the democracy of cinema. You know, everyone enjoys it, everyone relates with
Absolutely.
it. Having said that, what are you working on right now? Cinema, OTT, what are the projects on your plate?
Right now, I mean, I've taken a bit of time. I was doing quite a lot of work, I thought. I'd been on Comedy Nights with Kapil about 5 times. He said to me, you keep coming. He said, aren't you doing too much work? I said, yeah, maybe. So just taking some time to read some scripts. I have said yes to one movie starting early next year. And we're producing again. And I'm so invested some money in some nice, interesting writers and working on scripts, which is a different part of the job for me. So I hope that turns out well.
You know, I like how you are secure and iffy at the same time.
I think, you know, a healthy self-awareness and a little bit of, you know, fear and insecurity. It's like, it's fine. Like, we're humans, and like, we're nervous and scared and whatever, and then we're confident sometimes, and, you know, but not all the time.
Yeah. Do you ever feel any sort of envy? You don't seem like a person who...
I do. I would also feel envy sometimes. I mean, envy is a really bad one as far as all the sins go, you know. It's probably the worst, I think, in the sense that, because it's really useless. Envy comes when you look outside. People who are envious have not appreciated who they are, you know. And I do, whenever I get a pang of envy, a little bit, I quickly correct myself to say, yeah, if somebody can speak 4 languages and is, you know, like a brilliant academic maybe, or has read so many books, or some great actor or something, I might feel, but then I say, but, you know, I've been lucky, haven't I, in my life? I've also achieved some things. And it's really good where I am right now. So why should I be envious? So envy is like the worst of them. At least, you know, even lust and has its moments, and so does wrath. You know, perhaps sloth is it might be fun to be lazy. But envy is really the worst of all the sins.
What do you think is the most Pataudi thing about you, which you think has been on since generations and is something that you would pass on to?
I think pretty much that. Maybe a politeness and a wearing oneself lightly, a little easygoing humor, you know, down to earth and fun. My father and grandfather just, I think, were they were positive spirited people. You know, they'd achieved a lot of things, but they didn't show off about it, and they were just amusingly funny over a nice drink, you know.
A lot of respect for your father. You know, I'm a cricket fan, and I've been obviously never watched him play.
Yeah.
But all the stories, all the legends that go along with it,
you can see also that stance was that very open stance. They used to say when he lifted the bat, it would be towards gully.
It's such a cool thing. Just thinking off the cuff to do a movie on. Was there a possibility? Yeah?
I mean, of course there would be. You know, but you'd have to find someone who can stand like that.
You?
No, I don't know.
Ibrahim?
I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I'm saying that's the thing, because with sports movies, at least cricket movies also, some of those bowlers and some of those batsmen, yeah, okay, it could be done if somebody could imitate. But it's very difficult to get 5 or 6 people in the same movie that are such incredible imitators.
Of everything that you've done, you have a great family, you have great kids, all the legacy that you had, the movies, etc., lineage, the awards, all of that. What do you think is your biggest achievement?
Being able to control my mind to a point where it might have been a slightly destructive path I was on and a non-productive kind of path, and to control it all and bring it to a point where I managed to stabilize my family, myself first, and then create a home and in a secure environment, you know, and to try and provide for my children, to reclaim and restore the Pataudi palace and heritage. And I mean, you know, I was academically sent to one of the best schools in the world, and the idea was, like my grandfather and father, to go to Oxford. And I've always felt a bit bad and an underachiever for not having been academically inclined enough to have done that. But now I feel what I've achieved in movies is something that even fewer people have done than have graduated from Oxford. I mean, they have thousands every year. We don't have thousands every year that manage to do this. So I feel good about that. That's my achievement.